In this episode, we're talking about travel documents for departures from U.S. ports for U.S. citizens and resident aliens. For non-U.S. citizens and non-resident aliens, check out the info available in the celebrity and royal sites. I'm JD, and along with my wife Chris, we are the Casual Cruisers. On this channel, we'll bring you ship tours, port tours, and information on excursions and other activities. This is the state.gov website. The web address is in the red circle up on the left. And then if you click on Travelers, which is in the red circle and is pointed to by the big arrow, that will take you to the Travelers Information section. This is the U.S. Department of State Travelers website. You can go to state.gov and then click on Travelers. This came up as I was helping a friend with questions about his first cruise. I realized I've not seen any other videos on information about travel documents. Lately, there have been several social media posts showing people who forgot their travel documents or did not have the correct travel documents. Once you click on passports on the previous page, it brings you to this, the passports page. There are links for info on various situations from first-time applications to renewals and minor passports for 16 to 17-year-olds and those under 16 years of age. It also has links on tracking your passport application. This page has information on expedited processing scenarios, appointments if you're traveling within 2 to 3 weeks or traveling outside of 3 weeks but in less than 6 weeks, among other information you might need. Clicking on the items on the previous page will expand those topics and provide you further information. As you can see, many of the areas have hyperlinks to further pages for greater information on those topics. If you need to know the processing time for your application, you can click the links on this page, or you can contact a passport processing center. This is the celebrity site. The web address is circled in red, and the arrow near the smaller circle shows you the search function. Once you click on that, you should type in the phrase travel documents. When the search results come up, click the top link for travel documents. That'll bring you to this page, which shows you a link to why passports are best to travel on. But if you don't have a passport, you may be able to travel on your birth certificate. Understand, celebrity does not control how long it takes your state, which issued your birth certificate, to return it to you. You should contact the registrar of vital statistics in the state where you were born to find out how long it takes and what fees might be associated with requesting a birth certificate. This also tells you if the countries you're going to may need a visa, as well as if you're traveling with a child that's not yours. And this applies also to blended family situations as well as traveling with other people's children. You can also go to the frequently asked questions page and scroll down till you get to the travel documentation and see which topics apply to your travel circumstances. In the frequently asked questions page, if you click the top questions, this page is what comes up if you click the top questions link in the frequently asked questions page. Here those topics are expanded. You'll note that the area down there about can I travel on a birth certificate is very particular about that you also have to have another government issued ID, which would be a picture ID. And in the case of the U.S. now, it would have to be a real ID. Please note that it says for most U.S. sailings, because not every sailing from the U.S. will allow you to travel on a birth certificate and real ID. You should also note that it says it must be a state-certified birth certificate. So it has to be the original with either the multicolor seal or the raised seal from the state registrar or the Register of Vital Statistics that issues the certificate. A photocopy will not be accepted. This is the Royal Caribbean site. The web address is circled in the red in the upper left, and then the search function has a smaller circle with the red arrow pointing at it. Again, click on that and then type in the phrase travel documents. As Royal and Celebrity are owned by the same group, the information is going to be pretty much the same. It just may be displayed in a different format. Here's an example of the results page once you do the search for travel documents. Just as on the Celebrity site, you would click the top link for travel documents. The name on the travel documents must match the names on the travel reservation. This sometimes affects people who go by their middle name and they don't think to put in their first name. And this page from the Royal site shows you information about the question, can I travel on my birth certificate? Again, remember, the state that issued your birth certificate determines what the fees are to request a copy and also the time frame for processing. Here's an example. If you were born in New Jersey and requesting your birth certificate, it would take 6 to 8 weeks for regular processing. If you ordered online, it would also take that long. However, if you use the expedited process, it would take as little as 5 to 7 business days. If you still live in the state where you were born, you could go to the Register of Vital Statistics in your city, town, or county, or at the state capitol where the Register of Vital Statistics may also be located, and use walk-in services if it's offered. The fees, again, will vary and will be set by the jurisdiction in which you were born. Remember, the fees are set by that state, and also there's other documentation that will be required, so you should check your state's Register of Vital Statistics website to know what additional documentation, such as a real ID, driver's license, might be needed to request your birth certificate. You also need to remember that you need to have these documents in hand before you leave your house when you are departing for your cruise departure port. Here are some examples why a parent might be denied boarding with a minor child. The most common will be the lack of documents, such as not having the proper identification or the names don't match because of a divorce or an adoption. Also, you got to remember to hand carry these documents with you. It's very important that you have them available at all times when checking in. And always, whether it's an adoptive child or a stepchild or your own child, if traveling without the other parent, you must have a signed letter of authorization. However, if the other parent is deceased, you should check with your cruise line on what the requirements are in that situation. If you're traveling with someone else's child, such as a family friend, you must have a consent to travel letter, which is signed by the parents. You must have the proper documentation for identification, whether a birth certificate or a passport, as well as a letter authorizing you to authorize medical care should the child need it. And as with all the other information in this video, you must check with your particular cruise line to ensure you're meeting their policies. Here are some examples why a resident alien in the U.S. might be denied boarding. The most common that I've heard of recently is that they did not have their physical green card in hand when they went to board the ship. There are other reasons listed here, and again, you should check with the cruise line for their policies. If traveling on Celebrity, you should check on the site for up-to-date information, or if you book through a travel advisor, you can always call your travel advisor and they should be able to give you the most up-to-date information for your travel plans. And if you're traveling on Royal Caribbean, you should check their website or through your travel agent to make sure you're in compliance with their policies. Remember, the cruise line policies, regardless of which line you're sailing on, will have to comply with federal laws. Remember to always check with your particular cruise line for up-to-date information, and always go to the state.gov site if you're a U.S. citizen or a resident alien planning to travel outside the country. Thanks for watching our video. If you found this helpful or informative, please click the like button and consider subscribing. As we look at this beautiful wake view, we say bon voyage until the next adventure with the Casual Cruisers.